Welcome to the Yamz Experience podcast, your space for real talk, raw healing, and stepping into your unapologetic power. I'm Coach Yamz, your no BS bestie, and the Neuro Confidence Code Coach, here to help you heal, set some boundaries, and build unshakable confidence. If you're ready to overcome the BS, put yourself first, and thrive, you're in the right place. Healing is work, friend, and we've got this together. Let's do it. Hey, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Yamz Experience podcast. So, I began this podcast in July after a trip that I took to the Afro Mermaid Summit in June. And then in August, I released an episode. And then I fell off of the podcast grid. And I have not done an episode until now. It is December. And I just wanted to take a moment, I guess, to let you know that it's okay that even when you set intentions for something, that things change, and you don't have to beat yourself up about the change, and you can pick it up where you left it, if it's something that still needs to be picked back up. And so I say all that to say that this podcast, I am looking forward to nurturing it and growing it. And in order to do that to the best of my ability, I had to figure out some things and take some steps back and recalibrate and rest. And there's been a lot going on. And so I want to fill y'all in so that maybe if something from my story inspires somebody, then it will have been worth it. So like I said, started this podcast 3 months ago, 5 months ago, haven't done an episode in the last 3 months. And this episode, I want to be about the ever-evolving change of life and the importance of taking time to slow down so that you don't get caught up in a whirlwind and then look up and you're like, I've done so much, but I don't remember half of it because I've been crazy busy and I didn't take time to myself or to reflect or to just be in it and be present. So this year has been a lot about me continuing to figure out what it is that I love to do and what lights me up. And one of the things that began this year was ongoing difficulties in a space that I have to show up to. And I've felt like I've had to fight for my life in some days, on some days emotionally. And it's not what it has been, but in the beginning of the year, it was a whole lot. I had a lot on my plate. I had a lot of stress, and trying to pour into my business, to pour into Healing is Work coaching was not something that I had the capacity to do. And so with that, I went into survival mode and I did what I needed to do, and I still stayed active so that I would still move and things, trying to do all the basic cares that I can do, but still doing enough to get by and keep my sanity and be as happy as I could be. And then I felt like I got to a really good place, and I feel like I've continued to go up since then. But in that time when I felt like I'd gotten to a really good place, I then decided to start this podcast. And one of the things that made me want to start this podcast is to be able to share stories so that if inspiration is able to be gleaned, then that is great. Because there's so many things in this world and in this life that we don't know are necessarily even options until somebody else has shared about it. So what I know is that when I got back to a place of being ready to focus on and pour back into my business, I decided to do a pitch competition. And so pitching means that I had to put together a 90-second thing to be able to stand up on stage in front of a panel of judges and tell them what I do, why, who it is that I help, and all these components that are required to pitch your business. So I did that in June, and then in that competition there were 49 other women-owned businesses that I competed against. So there were 50 of us competing, and I made it to the top 10 finals. And with that, it required me to prepare a 3-minute pitch, which was an extended version, a little more detail. I even put together a PowerPoint presentation, something I've never done. First of all, this was my first pitch competition, and to make it to the finals and to keep going and to have to push myself outside of my comfort zone to do some new things I had never done before, to have what I say I want, which is a thriving coaching business and a public speaking career. I put myself out there. I figured it out. I utilized the resources provided by score.org, who put on this pitch competition, and I got to work. And then after I got through the pitch competition, before the finals, I'd found out that I'd been accepted to Corner to Corner, which is a program that helps Black and brown businesses get started and have all the foundational things in place that they need to have in place so that they can be successful. And even though I've been in business for, it will be 3 years in this coming February, even though I've been in business almost 3 years, there were still some things that I just did not have in place because you don't know what you don't know. And so with the Corner to Corner program, that was a 10-week program. It required going in person for a couple of hours a week, meeting with other people who were in the same boat of trying to figure this whole thing out. The 10-week program was great. I learned a lot. The biggest takeaway was that based on price points and what it is that I'm working on now, which is public speaking. I'm building out the public speaking branch of my business with price points and packages for coaching and certain things in place. Replacing full-time employment to be able to entrepreneur full-time is very real and doable, and I can see that now because of Corner to Corner's program. The break-even section specifically was very helpful and eye-opening. And also the 30, 60, 90 planning out for the future section. I learned how to plan things out, which sounds crazy because I plan things out in other ways, but like planning out for my business, entrepreneurship is still new to me. I don't know how to do these things. And so I'm still learning. And so that was another good takeaway from Corner to Corner's 10-week program. I encourage anyone who is Black and brown in the Nashville area, and I don't think you even have to be in Nashville anymore, honestly. If you go to Corner to Corner's website, I believe we had virtual people from other states. I don't know the criteria. I say look into it, but it is definitely a program worth having under your belt for foundational understandings of being a business owner. After I wrapped up Corner to Corner in November, I immediately went into another program that I had been accepted into called Milestone Circles, hosted by NASDAQ. And this program is for women entrepreneurs, and essentially you set a 12-week goal. And at the end of this 12 weeks, you're supposed to have this goal met. And along the way, there are resources provided, there are accountability check-ins provided, and you're put into smaller groupings with women, and you have to get accountability partners set up and figured out so that you have a constant network of support to help you through what it is that you have as your 12-week goal. And in this program, we're about halfway through the program now. I've learned so much. I have connected with some really incredible women. I've learned some great things. Even just the tidbits of knowledge that you get from people in their industries, being the experts on things that you've been like, I really need to know about marketing, or I really need to know about branding or whatever. There's all kinds of women from all different walks of life with all different kinds of businesses, some near, some far, and it's just great to have all of these networks that I've been able to connect into to continue helping me to build on my dream of Healing is Work coaching being a business that offers one-on-one coaching, group coaching, workshops, retreats, and public speaking, in addition to the virtual Dance with Yamz. And Dance with Yamz is virtual right now, but the goal is to bring it to real life also. So there's so many things in the pipeline. Just a few weeks ago, I hired a business coach to help with the marketing aspect of things, setting up leads, lead generations and funnels and CRM things and client portals and all the behind the scene things that make a business run smoothly, especially when you are a one-woman show. Yes. Whew. It's been a lot. It's been a whole lot. So I'm not saying that my 3 months of absence from this podcast is excused. I am saying that taking on this podcast and then having other things that ranked higher on the priority list happened. And I had to shift my focus in order to get to where my ultimate goal is, which is to do this full time. I love helping people in a way that supports them to continue to grow and pour into themselves and be better versions of themselves for themselves and for the people that they surround themselves with and that they love. So I guess I'll do like a wrap up takeaway kind of thing. We're at the end of the year. It feels right. My biggest takeaways in all of this is that, one, I've been trying to figure out how to add into the fold the public speaking part of the thing, and how does Dance with Yamz and how does all of this come together under one umbrella and make sense and mean something. And I've had to go through different programs and learn different things to know what the different aspects were that I wanted to have in place. And then at the end of the year, after all of the learnings and educations that I've had, even not just this year, because there's been other things that I've learned from other coaches and through other programs and workshops. I've learned a lot of stuff before, but there's a difference in learning something for the first time, and so like lingo and everything is new, and then there is another thing to be able to relearn some of that same information, but now you already know the lingo because you're familiar with all the happenings, and so you're not learning new language plus also learning new concepts. You learned the language, you got that down, and now you're learning the concepts and how to apply them to what you've built. And so I feel like I've been in a season of, I've learned a lot, and I've this year been required to truly implement the things that I've been learning over the years and getting organized and getting clear on what it is that I want. And that looks like having personal boundaries. That looks like having professional boundaries. It looks like having honest conversations with yourself at all times, because we're constantly changing. Life is constantly changing. Another big takeaway for me has been that it is so vital and important to be able to ground yourself and find calm in chaos, because the external world is going to do what it does. We have no say-so. We have no control. We just have to roll with it. We just got to roll with it. And you can either choose to be okay and figure out how you're going to navigate the outside world, or you can choose to be bothered by it and to hate it and to complain about it. And I tell you one thing, I've lived that second version. It ain't no way to live. It's exhausting as hell. And ultimately, it just keeps you in a cycle of complaining. And that don't help nobody. And it only brings more things to you for you to complain about. So complaining is something that I don't do a whole lot of, I feel, anymore. But also, I am currently in review of how much complaining I do actually do. I need to take inventory. I want to take stock so that I can eliminate the complaining that has been able to happen by default, because we are all of the patterns that we have accumulated, the habits that we have participated in throughout our lives, right? So there's always something I can learn, grow, shed, and release. And you can too. You can too. This year outside of business has been very exciting, because I have really gotten to the business of this mermaiding. So I went to the Afro Mermaid Summit in June, and then I got my own fin in July, which was a fin fun fin. And it did okay. It did what it needed to do to get me to the place where I could swim underwater and get from one end of the pool to the other. And just recently I upgraded my fin fun fin to a Mertailor fin. The fantasy fin, I think is what they call it. But I got that. She's bigger. She's heavier because she's made of silicone. And I'm learning to swim in her now, because swimming in different material with a different weight to it is a new experience. And so I'm learning again. And I've really been enjoying my time swimming for fun, and it happens to be a great workout. Something else is I'm really grateful for the network I continue to accumulate as I continue to live life and talk to people and have conversations and learn about people's stories and connect one person with another person. And it's just really incredible, this life that we live, if we choose to see it that way. Yeah. Another thing that's been exciting is my romantic relationship. My partner and I have been together for over a year now, and it is the healthiest relationship I've ever had. It is a relationship that keeps me laughing, it keeps me accountable, and it keeps me shedding the old me that does not serve in order to be a better me for me and for us. Nobody tells you when you've gone through traumatic relationship things that when you get into healthy things, you're going to find ways to find problems and self-sabotage sometimes. And it doesn't mean that you have to do anything with it, but just know that challenges come up and you get to choose how you are going to respond in that moment and what you're going to do going forward, and how you're going to have those conversations if conversations need to happen, so that you don't find yourself repeating and living in the patterns of the past. And I am very committed to never going back to the old me. And so it requires me to have uncomfortable conversations with him, and it requires me to have uncomfortable conversations with myself and reflect and recalibrate. Yeah. I think that I will leave you with the takeaway of never be afraid to start over. You're never too old to begin. And Don't be afraid to lay down things that don't fit anymore to make room for what's next. We are ever evolving. There is no right or wrong. There is the next step, and then you can choose to course correct. Nobody has the perfect plan figured out. Nobody knows how all of this is going to go. If you take this step, then it's going to lead to the... Don't nobody know. Everybody is figuring this shit out. So at least enjoy it while you're figuring it out. Those are my words to you. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode of the Yamz Experience podcast. I would ask that you like, share, subscribe, comment what your favorite part was, maybe what you'd like to hear more about, learn more about. I also want to tell you that I just recorded a gratitude challenge. It's going to be a mini series, and instead of it being a once a month podcast that goes about 30 minutes like this, it's going to be a 4-part series that will release every Sunday, and it will be no more than 10 minutes is the goal. I think they were like 8 to 10 minutes each. But yes, there's a gratitude series coming to help you expand your gratitude practice, to develop your gratitude practice, to let you know what gratitude practice means and looks like. And I hope that you will tune in for that and let me know what you think. You can follow me on all social medias, Coach Yamz, spelled Y-A-M-Z. I'm on all of them except Twitter /X, whatever they're calling it now. And if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling like, what's my next? What am I going to do? I want you to go to chatwithyamz, YAMZ.com, and I want you to book a 45-minute complimentary coaching call with me so that we can talk about where you're at and get clear on that, align you with where you want to be, and help get you on a path to transformation. Because my goal is for everyone to live the happiest, healthiest, most vibrant life that they can. And I would love to support you on your journey. And so, yes, book a call with me. And that's what I've got for you. Until next time, I will see y'all in January. Take care.